This is Kessben 93.3 FM, a new wave of excellence in radio.
Fayuram Black Stars Gagra.
Chief Masomo studio has say na oka se same o pedro bia masame ama ne nema bia tenetene ka o si ho ma me o si studio ka be me de pa but we need akwanya no se se atiem adekro na betenetene no me interested pa say ka adekro no betumi atenetene the do's and the don'ts against Angola Nyankopon ya adon wo chena from Otuado okay World Cup akọ katakodi anim that performance na man for eka say oh yentwen no Otuado beba kakra during the qualification processes there were 3 different coaches at the start here okay coach Kwesi Apia Milovan Rajvac and of course Otuado no babe so mu na ye nyina ye ekọ kata but World Cup ebe call USA 2026 the auto esiwu na so even though Chris Edi kan shase kakra ho but auto esiwu na so nya no nko a ye be call Morocco and no so esiwu na so our performances in our second coming, you know, are full of mixed reactions and outcomes, and of course outcomes and I been say you bought 2 different friendlies and I bought 2 competitive games against Mali and I bought Angola Central African Republic. The Angola was also as the 5th game. But apart from these games, competitive, you know, we've also had our chance against Nigeria and of course Uganda. Na nini na mu no come on say. Otuado second coming, you know, changes bebre across football nini na no ne kokoko any goals. How many goals send washe? According to who you start, you know, on this Joe Biemu, Otuado share 9 goals, I consider 8. Not just a difference, you know, ya ko yes 4-3 no ba kono Jordan Emma no ebeda positive Emma no. But talking about the team the boy Otuado in the first game in the second spell, you know, Oshaya, this was the base of that team. Of course, sir, Bob beton net here. Ya near Shani Mabibre, but Ahaya Uhui, and yet to say, what the team na sharp na etwano, BBN, but in football terms, you know, ya netwano. Osha 10 goals near Tinina, you busa questions about defense. So defense no na ya na semno. What has been the shape and they are still in the nature of our defensive backline. Now Osha Patrick Pozo starting against Nigeria, Ali do say do Edmonado, Jerome Poku, and of course at least getting that goal post. But then the academy so about there are certain issues here. As I say, do home come on. Osha backline, yeah. Edmonado has say Kasim no hutna bench in that game, you know. But Edmonado is not a natural central defender, and that game produced a lot of numbers in the final third. I keep saying, sir. And yet, ball possession, defining control. Ball possession, no, break it further down or here touches or heat map and other stuff. Against Nigeria, we had 51% of the ball as majority part of the game. No, yeah, buy as against 49 of Nigeria. Yet from that 51, no, you critique just 8 chances out of it. Or they compare Nigeria for 49, no, they had 12 chances, of which they moved 50%. At a shot on target at the buy and when you 2 goals, but from Ghana, yeah, 51, no, only 3 of them from the 8 chances created and a call goal posting. Not just say a nullified idea. No, people are saying a team no defense and why would not protected a back line because a Caribbean we are saying die in Tupunum, but in football, baby a Tupunum, baby a defensive midfielders and what a hunting a kind of anchor or more necessarily holding down the ship. So that your Flodunia Mano ain't me him. So what has been the anchor area of our team? Samed Salis and of course Baba Idrisu. A dear dinomadeba. A dear dinomadeba backline. We say is it aerial duels? Do we know Salis to be an aerial dominant defensive midfielder? Is that how we also know Baba Idrisu say or dominative or soro? And answer dominative or form. We've seen Antoniana and say on Kosrube but a form the Onube. Which area of the game? And a Samed. And Baba Ediba. So Obusa say, number of chances in Nigeria no. How did those chances not come about? A dear Ehu football back when I say a long ball be floated into zone on any power board no. Not on your duelist. It's in Nigeria 1 pass from a goalkeeper no and a Baba 2 Edmonado. Now it's a long ball I to PK we cheer for the so the long balls now an opponent and send it by your chromonym. How do we deal with them? Nigeria and Ecosso send them. Let's all analyze this together. It's every time a long ball it cracks the defensive structure of our team. It was that was the partnership between Jerome Poku and then Edmond Ado in that first game during the second spell of Otuado. And who come on a year. Sometimes you see many players at back in defense, but yet a coin at the move. So we're asking, that was the game I bought Baba Idrisu and your boss Summit. What do they bring on board in terms of ball protection and structural protection to the back line? Every long ball you are seeing say we keep fumbling and the chance am my opponent, you know. And no soon and numb it told be an artizgi save near Bonabaso artizgi but yen share tizgia. What has been the function of our defensive midfielders? Because they're about 2 in 4-2-3-1 pivot 1 pivot 2. What do they do to protect the back line? And to say I'll be telling you one secret here. A coin me no so na opponent na do na odinya one a floated ball na washe and then 2 a penetrative passes. Ball na ya na de biam no ebi mo friend mirror passes. The other can be an ball na ya de biam no. There have been lot of pockets within the defensive structure. It be more opponent no crowd ball the room. You can count how many red jerseys are during the action zone. But this is a penetrative pass and a C. Oh, team. Let's get over it. There are 2 ways how to be defended, especially without the ball. Either you are pressing in the final third to start the defensive work, or on press or top. No more creative blocks, mid block, deep block, low block, whatever. Do we press or we create blocks? Emudia ino to adu nkra ball no opesa boys na e dey recover ball no e dey free opponent no. What hasn't been the case is say every time the other kind red jerseys as say adwuma wa kira, but na pockets no opponent me to no boy say the ball no biam na ya committed foul around this area and the other run maybe crowd me a penalty or sometimes opponent no e benya a chance at goal. So who that penetrative pass no keep that thing at the back of your mind. Let's actually the SR to us. And this was the first friendly game against Nigeria. So it was a 4-5-1 formation from Utuado. The team or sitting very deep in a low block. Low block means these are all blocks. Any panel about football, the blocks in the moment. There's a back 4 that comprises of the laterals and the 2 central defenders. And your middle 5, 2 wide players and 3 central players, and your 1 at the top. So 4-5-1. They say a quiet them. So on the screen, it feels like we are so compact, but that's not the case. Another penalty in the bar, you know. We all stayed very deep, much congested in our own zone, but opponent, you know, or the ball. So that was the first game. A penalty there, but I've asked you, say, do we press in the final third? No opponent in the castle or back yeswa. How do we deal with this issue? So against Nigeria, no long ball no quite to me, but Omojia, look at how they'll be building out. And I'm a question in here. So say in Crabon, no Nigeria, and I started some more building out to the Aba. A queen be fast watching ball and say, you better than your Liverpool or Pep Guardiola. The teams and on your press or top because on Gini defenders and indeed on person they're joining in Alabama. Now born a toa could see, so they start pressing from here. But do we press? Watch it as we all go. Now your presses as well. How aggressive, how resilient has it been? Do we really function in the final third? Opponent in the castle or qua? Yeah, your money pressure, sir. Now make it can we no. Shannon so against Central African Republic go now could lose you know. I'll be telling you something. Emani could do and son of Casemiro tanka. Keep it, say you press and I am pressing. I am pressing the defense and I want to say. Young press or top what a ball on board by no. It is 1-on-1, it is 1-on-1. At least give the best someone I free against 2. Now so no the attender say at least give that best so at this point he stays and analyzes whatever happens. But it's 2 for 2 by virtue of 1 long ball into our area. So Nigeria had a key idea as to how I'm crack you to add on the back line or Ghana for the press. I'm the born about many anymore. As so many as a quadro attackers in the American Mutu and also Muntumika. I can be showing you once again. I'm sending long ball a call here. And the defense and away ball. It's always been that long ball in your bank one year able to me a defense. I tell you why. But before the why has an answer. You move on quickly. Now you caught the subsequent game against Uganda. It also had this backline. Now when you do has any day now, Patrick Pozo more fimu. I'm Anan Ababishim. You can understand if I say Anan Ababishim and Dennis Odoi. So Ababishe a little say the position or Patrick Pozo call a little say the call Dennis Odoi Anan Abab. But Edmonado continues to partner Jerome Poku or Manimu Pay. Baba Idris Wakotina say I'm a Francis Abu Abam Abe partner Salis Ahmed in a 4-2-3-1. This was the base. Now Mabusa said Babane Samed, I want the DNA, but do they dominate on the ball? Do they dominate aerially? Are they very quick, swift, and aggressive on the ground duels. What do they bring forth on the table? We haven't seen it yet, but we are talking about long balls about your Kromwa. Yet we win the second balls concept. Ya pin ball in every area, hono. There may be a second ball in the tunnel. In fact, this was another penalty. The penalty, you saw that penetrative pass, a long ball. Use my head. Second ball, if you toy, an opponent, and I found the true ball, and I foul. It came via player, a friend, say, and it wasn't a fault. Mabusa, a question back. Do we press in the final third or coach in someone press or we stay very deep in the blocks? It's the opponent now. It feels like baby a giant friend of mid block, middle no, and I attackers now by the new midfielders. The midfielders no could defense no could protect it. But do we still stay very compact back in that defense? Has it been the case? Okay, he sent a long ball near your field. Then the second ball somebody wins it. It's a matter of you have about 5 players be against this back line. And then will be the scene Nigeria, you know. Or mama can call him, no call baby swad and America Bantam. It's always been the case. One penetrative passes, then it gets our back line structure more splitted. Another second penalty, you know, toward in the second coming, you know, in the second game, and an agene bookable offense when you're yellow card. Yeah, the penalty not to all then, but don't forget, Atizigi was in that post by way of Jojo Walcott. So we are discussing how balls get into our final third and how we deal with them. And when I'm going to watch them, we are not talking about our attack. Attack and I'm going to say, without the ball, do they press? Do they add a lot to the defensive work of our team? Now we are saying, Messa do a question, I'm watching a crabby say, Joe. Now who's a baby on not the body, the 2 man, refugee body, we need a complaining. Oh, I share. But this was a build up. A long ball was sent. The second ball, whatever, was never dealt with so well. It's a petri ball no box and it'll be a half clearance. But this is another long ball into the box. How do we deal with it? Watch here. It should be a ball. Even first of all, how many red jerseys and our boxing? Uganda, boy. How many red jerseys and our boxing? Now, boxing, watch this area. Watch it very carefully. How many players in white and a zone as against how many players in red? Jet or connected body jaubia. Aha, Salisu Shahabi, Obia Shahabi, or connected body jaubia. How do we deal with long balls into our area? The second ball concept. Otuado, or 4-5-1 and a quantum. Have you taken notice? Now, and none who do say Joe discuss say. Angola no show mo kra na won't mean show mo bebresa. The margin of differences has always been one. More discuss I enjoy and na yekọ anim na no. But we shared one particular finna. How I go no tournament was about something and person me highlight it pa. Ma highlight ho na ebe me ya pa. Watch something very serious here about your defense, you know. And idea, I think the technical team would have to go back and work around it. Most of we keep saying, technical team no call or much videos no bia and you more analyze no a home common moody. So from the 16th minute to the 83rd minute, Uganda you see the same pattern of attack and it didn't 2 goals to any ball draw. On to the next game against Mali or Bamako. Then the technical team said, no, a queen boss fast by a box in my door. A man for he moved from the back 4 to a back 5. Gideon Mensah and a Tarek Lamptey, a back 3 that comprises of Ali Bissedu, Jiku, Alexander, and of course Mo Salisu. So back 3 way, you know, and I had the call Bamako. Now, and your back 3 and Kwa. Team no sanya a very solid midfield, but I had another midfield, you know, assassin. Now, who said different partnership crabber, a hall and a Thomas Partey, a baby realm. So, yeah, who Francis Abu Biem and Yahu Baba Idris Biu, but Francis de Wasaba. But the partner for Samed for the 3rd successive game, Thomas Partey, he's always been having a different partner. Okay, Nigeria, me highlighted Baba Idrisu. Against Uganda, me highlighted Francis Abu. Against the 3rd game against Mali in Bamako, Thomas Partey. But in a different defensive structure. Tarek Lamptey, Gideon Mensah, and a Baba wing backs, you know, Ali Seydou, Jiku, Alexander, and of course Salisu. In a 3-4-2-1 formation with Antoine Semenyo as a lone striker. When you are good pa, and on the Bema says, and your possession defining control. It is also a game now away, or 200 just 39% of the ball. As against 61 from Mali, Jet created 11 from the 39, and a Mali no created 13, of which you have 2 goals. from the first shot at goal. So possession wise, it was very, very small. But chances creation, goals scored. Ni nyina no na ebaye ya fam. But for Mali omo fie no, omo enjoy ball no more. It created a lot of chances, open chances. Yet had very, very few at goal, of which one pair and I did go by. Now Otuado has taken a clue out of these games in our body say. And now Bobo paper in December. Osha Mali game now we had control in terms of the Malians and more creativity. No, we really survived an attack of Kamori Dumbia and Adama Traore back in midfield. No, na nyagro ewo hokra tight midfield from Mali. Sinayoko ewo honum Lasin, Sinayoko, Lasana, Koulibaly. These guys na omo fifi. Don't forget Awa who do the best player. Haidara Abadu from RB Leipzig. These guys were in midfield, just survived because of the back three shape. That converts to a back five with Guillaume Mensah and then Tariq Lamptey. It will show a chance to create here. Now you're good. We also had control. Guillaume Mensah had one of the best games, you know. Malif one of their pan and we kept creating chances each and every time we moved very closer into the final third. And that was the day and the Sinyama Munina game because it was a back five. Tariq Lamptey, Ali said we line back so. Na Obasha side has a Salisu and a Guillaume Mensah. Now Nyama had an excellent game via a very quality cross from Samet Salis and Nyama out jumping everybody on the ball at 2 net. Now moving on, no, not just a back line will be share the fourth game, no, and I'm say a 2 year what I say. Because the back line will be share without Amate no has been Salisu Jiku. And not the amount for Peppa, Samantha Ama, Salisu at the left central, Jiku at the right central, amount for Pe. I need to say do over Tariq Lamptey in terms of defending, you know, he has a lot of attributes. Guillaume Mensah, Baba Ramana Ama, no any free holiday, or yeah, Jumano Hopa. This was a very formidable backline. Obia, when you only argument to home, you need Otuado and Yasembe, at least get a go postum. A man so Samed Kronwa or Thomas Partey 4-2-3-1 Fatau. It's a Haku Suleiman Kamaldin Nakuru Sabo the time behind Jordan Ayew. Quality lineup on paper, but Yanfa grown so. Quickly at the Babayara, the fortress of Ghana football. Be bearded and after that goal now the 2 net. Jamane Koso Pakupa Tertiary Omunina. Then Kudus lost that ball. Makasem Yachra say, long balls never your chromo horn. What really happens? 2 central defenders in the general Louis Mafuta. This guy requested a lot. What him say? Oh, back game no. Not yet show the defensive nature of the defense and the action. Even before us step here through the interview, he made mention of that. But this was the secret. Kudus Mohammed Jebon Waha. Where is the possession security? I want to understand something here. Shekudus, never be a teammate in the war. I said so behind some Messi Najibo, the Messi crown, yes, I'm over here. Or Lusubon and Masafa. Who are the possession security here? So Kudus Lusubon, Nanimini Asa, or that teammates in the morning and Badu Mopekra. Where is the shape of our team? Which setup? A Lusubon in the final third. We had absolutely no clue. Defenders, you know, they were caught flat. Now, the who say Nimirika near catch flat. It's 1-on-1. Meanwhile, 3 seconds ago, na Bonu cry a best player in the final third. So they say the artist getting a BB Ashedemo. It was 1-on-1. But is that the first time seeing this? We've been seeing this. How do we deal with this long balls? You're 4 and 5 for no more balance. I want to understand something. Is it going to be down to Jiku? And you need to know so. But watch it. Kudus lost the ball. We never pressed. Nobody said anything. In the final third, and no, no. Where was the other guys in the team? Where were they? But watch your 2 central defenders. Late, you know, ask your question. Hey, Fanamokoye. This is a prolific striker in Louis Mafuta. Now, this goal, no cross, have me more because Otuado has to work on something in the team. You lose the ball in the final third. I'll be telling you about Jordan Kamaldin Suleiman Kudus himself. I'll be telling you after some ball we say Toneta. Lackluster attitude. Very like a bicycle. That's a BB and had field and so. And then I'm in Salis and for the second time, you are seeing an attack here. I feel crowded one defender Penanaka. First number 2 Jikuni Salisu. But I say number 2 Gideon Mensah. But this is it. Come on, do Suleiman Jebono our technical team name has say. In his ideas, what he intended was to leave the ball to Kudus. Now Kudus nya ball no opese Kamal di leko. And now that miscommunication no am I lose ball no almost around that same zone, you lose the first one. Now watch these two guys. Kamal Dean and Kudus in America, watch them. Watch the two guys. Their attitude of the ball. And that's how your coach, it kills other players too. Because Jordan has started pressing, but trying to name crying me. Look, this is the blaster, Kudus. This is the blaster. One loose ball very, very close to the position box. But watch Kudus' attitude. Kamal Dean. It's Jordan here say about my pressure no. Oh, say crying no so I go on the 3 players, none of them is trying to win back the ball. Watch them. Watch them. Look, this is the blaster Kudus, Kamal Dean, oh quite yes. You be home oba show attitude. Na me catch us a failure on my 2 Gideon man sankwa. Salisu crowd here on Kahon, Jiku, and that form baby. This is Jiku. But the deficiencies within the back line should be queried. 2 strikers as against 1. Bakune 2 for 2. And Musan Louis Mafuta Chrono, not the ball we say as 2. But this is not the case. But be a loose ball, no, there was no seriousness, no urgency. Say a loose ball. No. Look, Kudus, I feel a mobile ball, when you're serious. The only Kamal Dean, why I'm loose ball, I'm one question, person. We don't care. We Ghanaians wants to see your best output. Do loose ball, no top one. I can't home. Your budget, so loose ball. No. I will not be blaming Gideon Mensah at all. At all. But that's not the case. The fouls we've been committing in dealing with area balls, okay, Nigeria for the end of the 2 ball to my penalty share. But I hear Louis Mafuta. That was the call from the commentators. He had his hat-trick on that day. The Jordan Yebiano, then this guy was also matching it. Boot for boot. But the questions are that, why are there cracks in defense? This is the African football. Long balls are so prevalent in our build-ups. So whatever we need to do tomorrow, how the long balls are floated in, who deals with that, who picks the second ball, and no Otuado is still dealing with. Go post to there, Jojo Wabba. But I'll be going for Atizgi. And then Frederick is there for experience. Coach Nakasha for the future and agency for longevity and consistency. Frederick, so what is time to man? How Frederick? When I want to acquire and when share at the mouth and a club, I'll be going for Atizgi. I will go post. Moving on quickly. Backline is going to stay with that Jiku. I'm most confident. I'm most reliable central defender on Mabi. For whatever reasons. Jiku is not here. And no, a lot of questions are raised. Say, who is going to be the leader in that department tomorrow? Oh, Baba Yara Sports Stadium. Baba Yara Chrono, in our last game, we consider 3 goals. 3 goals. So, Salisu, who Brazil game, no? Ababe Jechiro, is a coach showing more trust and confidence in Jerome Opoku because at his feet, we are very confident, very composed on the ball, on him pass it, on you so aggressive. But Bonnie Krana, Jerome Opoku say, oh, he's a very confident player. A central defender on him born pass or ball left and right, remember how or ball right central defense, a ball left central defense. Salisu here, on to ball right central. Left and right more dominant, but who partners him? If you are to choose Salisu, why never partner? No? Abdul Momin has been showing consistent form in the La Liga. And every time you're born about so who do Sergio Diagano or scouting Ghanaian players one key player a highlight in the game now has been Abdul Momin and Ababa Yara very sharp. But is he having the confidence of the coach? Or there's a new boy, Ajete, former Brekum Chelsea, young chap. On in Muana Brabondia Copie FC Basel. A bon homo dempa. Obi a giant would no being come Ayesha Jikuama. Then the coach said, FC Basel, there you are the element of the game. So come down here. But do you have the trust to start him against Angola? What they never partner Salisu? No, the other affair, Otimbo Benkum to be Bonifafa, so valued 600,000 euros on the transfer market. Only Bebresa or bought back 2 central defensive pairing to be body very, very, very strong, very physically built. But over starting against Angola. So without the partnership of Salisu and Dejiku, who are we going for tomorrow? Question in the partnership way has been consistent in our recent seasons. But among for the now will be going for Salisu as the number 1 choice. Why never can home? Mabusa question at all. Send the command your data houses and say Joe Bekin can in the amount. In terms of the probables, den mami but my bomb home den pa atezi gi na better go post num ali dey say do over Tariq efie ne yebo no I have a lot of attackers eti say hane dey me stop watch do Tariq for tactical reasons you are going on the bench Gideon Mensah and ebebo me left back or now with that Gideon Mensah no na abie ediama other young chap say ono so mra be room because can we shut back
okay new
so Joe Chief
yeah emre no say they see kono you benya mre pa nyame yadom ochina chane game no enti mama obesima ba ku bi na fa wrap up on na nyame yadom ochina na de ohubia no ye de aba na fi ye bi boso nkrankra wa ha ansa na donko abo akasima be aduonu enso na donko abo your local source kakra wa ha enso ese ye enti new minim da odi betwa to kra wrap up na fi
so me midfield ni here me without Gideon Mensah other defenders between us but you know me midfield no so what players are available you be tempted to go for the diamond but as to say coach now rehearse another film Francis Abu Thomas Partey and then Majid as half 8 no Abokudus in number 10 4-man midfield in a diamond no about Jordan and Antoine Semenyo but apart from this lineup there are other shapes coach the person called 4-3-3 with Majid Thomas with Kudus in between Jordan and Fatal 4-2-3-1 and 2-7 to lead the line. I'm watching there. I'll be focusing solely on Angola. But the blaster will see a chief. Minim se ba fa brand do do na but I'm watching full time on Angola. What we need to do to kill these guys at Baba Yara.
All you need to know about the Black Stars and Newton Lartey Maridata de Amayeno quickly.